Eloise Wellings in this field as well, off a marathon personal best, coming back to the track. So a very strong field assembled. Be interesting to see how they tactically take this one out. You can see Hull there just trying to get herself into a clean position. She's locked on to Rose Davies. There's Wellings, that's moved straight to the front. Very distinctive running style. And we saw her set up the pace aggressively at the Zatopek earlier in the year. Slotting behind her, Isabel Bat-Doyle. So Wellings, Bat-Doyle, Davies.
I think it's Lauren Ryan just on the rail, fresh off World Indoors as well.
And Jess Hull. So the big five at the front. They'll settle this one down. 12 laps left to go in the women's 5,000 metres. And this is going to be quite the race.
We haven't got any athletes inside that qualifying mark just yet for the World Championships. So they'll be looking for a 15:10. Obviously, those first athletes in that chase pack behind Wellings are more than capable. Obviously, 14:43.80 from Jess Hull. We know what she can produce. And Wellings stretching this field out. And Tamsin is down at track, so it'll be the men's 5,000 metre champion, Matthew Ramsden.
What a race. You could tell watching that you desperately wanted that national championship. Last year was so hard at missing out on the Olympics. You've bounced back well.
Yeah, well, after I found out I wasn't going to make the team, Nick and I had a chat, and he just said, like, there's two athletes. There's athletes who kind of disappear after missing out, and there's athletes who bounce back and become really good. So I just told him I really want to be a good athlete. I don't want to be someone who disappears and feels sorry for themselves.
Well, you've been an incredible junior, and a lot of people have been just waiting for you to burst onto the scene and do something incredible in the senior ranks. You've done some amazing things in Australia, but we're waiting, for that international experience. World Indoors, that heat run was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm not going to jinx myself and say this is going to be the year, but I've been training well, and I've done 3 hard races this week. That was pretty good, and yeah, indoors I made the final. The final wasn't as good as I should have run, but yeah, I probably spent myself in the heat just getting through. So yeah, hopefully it is a step in the right direction for me this season.
How was it on the boards? Like, you're pretty tall. Like, it's one of those things where if you're trying to find space, it's difficult, isn't it? And we don't get to do a lot of indoor racing. Yeah, it was hard because that was my first ever indoors, like running indoors, and it was the World Champs, so it was something different. I think tactics-wise, I struggled a little bit. I used up too many bullets in the chamber. But yeah, you learn from it, and hopefully next World Indoors I got a lot better in the final. That's one of those things, being Australian, though, in distance races, we can try and time trial here in Australia, but you've got to get over there and mix it with the world's best. You've done that often on the European circuit, and you've got those fast times to your name. Desperate to get on the team in the 1,500 or the 5,000? Yeah, at this point, I'd prefer the 1,500. I think I'm just not quite strong enough to compete in the final over 5K. But yeah, 1,500, hopefully I'm on that team. I think I ran as hard as I could yesterday, and hopefully I've proven to the selectors that I can do 3 rounds. I just did 3 races here. So yeah, hopefully that's good signs. How was the running in the legs today? Because that race was, it was a fascinating race. We saw Michael Rowe go to the front to try and push that pace. And then you just you just sat back and just waited for the move. And at the bell, you were there where you had to be. You could sense, I could tell, you could sense them on your shoulder, but you stayed relaxed coming home. Yeah. Yeah, the boys needed to make it a lot faster to hurt me today. I ran 1:49 last 800 last night in the 15, so I knew I could run at least 55 last lap, and I thought that should be enough to do it. But you can never know. I was hurting early on, just tight glutes and lower back seized up a bit. But yeah, got it done. That's all that matters. Well done. Another national championship, but a fabulous championship racing here at these Australian national titles. You can walk away with 2 medals. Well done. Can't wait to see what you do in the World Champs in Birmingham. We're going to talk like you're already there. Thanks, Tamsin. Fingers crossed. Thanks. Well done.
Look at Wellings out there driving the train. And she's got a big group of athletes right behind her. Bat-Doyle leading the charge of those chasing athletes. Rose Davies, Blundell at the back. They were our 3 5,000-metre athletes in Tokyo. But the Oceania record holder just sitting there in 4th place. Kelly Thackeray, Lauren Ryan, then it's Paige Campbell, then Pompiani, Natalie Rule, and then just coming into screen on the bottom right-hand side, Jenny Blundell, a little bit off the pace at the moment. She's won a fair share of 5,000-metre titles. So 8 laps to go. It's Wellings, Bat Doyle, Davies, Hull. A little bit of a gap back to Ryan, Thackeray, Campbell, then Pompiani and Rule.
So Jenny Blundell is the defending champion. Bat Doyle was 3rd on the track last year. She got the silver because Andrea Sikafian of Canada took out line honours. And the bronze last year was Genevieve Gregson, who will miss this season through injury, but also with the exciting news of the impending new addition to the Gregson family. So it's Wellings at the front of the field. Bat Doyle in 2nd place. Davies is locked in behind the Zatopek champion. Bat Doyle on that occasion was 3rd on the track to Wellings, who is the runner-up in the Zatopek, so she's at the front of the field. Bat Doyle has had the recent advantage over Davies over the 5,000 metres. But then over 3,000 metres, it was Davies that had the win earlier in the season here at the Sydney Track Classic. And Nat Rule, who's part of this leading group, she's just on the back of this leading group of 8 or 9 athletes. She had an extremely strong finish in the kick down. We saw her last night, 1,500 metres, a strong kick as well. She's got the back end speed, so she can hang in there, and hopefully this driving pace doesn't take too much out of her legs. She's right in with a chance, and there's 7 laps to go.
Yeah, Rule is she's just been thereabouts, but she's on the back of a group that is just starting to fade away a little bit. Ryan, Paige Campbell, Pompiani, and Rule. They need to close that gap back to Thackeray, Hull, Davies. It was fantastic to see an athlete like Jess Hull back out here competing on home soil. They'll have around 6.5 laps to go here in the 5,000 metres as Wellings pulls off the side. Her job is done here tonight, providing the pace, and to have an athlete of that calibre, of Eloise Wellings, one of our greatest 5,000 metre runners that Australia's ever produced, to get these ladies under 15:10 if possible. So Thackeray is just off the back of that. She'll be representing Great Britain. So the titles can only go to the Australians at the moment. But that 15:10, that's the World Championship qualifier for all the countries. So if Thackeray can get under that, it'll be very exciting for her and her Great Britain representation. But Bat Doyle, it's up to her now to keep this pace rolling. Davies and Hull, Thackeray, they look very comfortable.
Well, Bat Doyle's taken up the pace at the front of the field. Davies has slotted in nicely. Jess Hull looks so composed, tucked in behind. She's come off a 6th place in the World Indoors over the 3,000 metres. We talked about Eloise Wellings before. The calibre of 5,000 metre athlete, 3rd fastest Australian all time. Only one of the 3 Australians that ever gone under 15 minutes. So she knows what this 15:10 pace is. So she set it up nicely. Of course, the 2 others that are ahead of Wellings, Benita Willis, one of the greatest of all time, and Jess Hull, who is our national record holder at 14:43. So Bat Doyle, Davies, Hull. Hull hasn't really put her nose out into the wind at all this race. So she's sitting back, and maybe that's the benefit of being the experience of Hull. She's raced a lot, of course, Oregon University on the NCAA scene, but also maybe the benefit of being the national record holder. You get to just sit back because everyone's going to be so cognizant of where you are and what you're doing. And Davies, that was how she raced at the Zatopek. She sat right back and let Bat Doyle do a lot of the work. Bat Doyle does like to get to the front of the field, and she has had that advantage that we talked about before over Davies over the 12.5 lap distance. So Thackeray's doing a fantastic job to go with them. She's wearing the Box Hill kit of the club where she trains at. Rule has made a break from that 2nd group on the track, so she's moved up into a clear 5th place. It's going to be a huge task to try and take ground off that leading group of 4, but Bat Doyle, Davies, Hull, they're the top 3 in the Australian Championship. Thackeray in 4th from Great Britain.
This is fantastic running here. So metronomic down that back straight. Looking to try and surpass. They've got personal bests there or thereabouts, that qualifying mark. Thackeray, a 15:26 in March down at Box Hill, which has been absolutely fantastic. The event that Rose Davies took out. But you can see Thackeray now making a move around the outside. Just wanting to get behind, out of the shadow of Jess Hull. And she might be taking up a little bit of pace here, the Great Britain athlete. So Bat Doyle, she's got a 15.04 to her name outside of that qualifying period. Davies, we know, can go under with a 15.08. But Thackeray up to the shoulder of Bat Doyle. And she might just be tucking in a little bit, just leaving Bat Doyle take control of that race and rule. She's trying to close that gap and get up on the back of this group. But she's stuck in the middle of nowhere at the moment. She's about 15 behind Hull, but about 30 metres back to Pompeani Campbell and Lauren Ryan.
So it's inside 4 laps to go now. Bat Doyle, Thackeray on her shoulder. Davies is tucked in. Hull is looking supreme there in 4th place. She's just waiting for when Hull's going to make her move. Now, they probably don't want to let her hang with them for too much longer because you know the kick that she's going to have with that 1,500-metre speed. And you know, Bat Doyle and Davies have been familiar foes across their career. We talk about the parallel careers. They both ran their personal best in the same race over in the Netherlands. 15.04 for Bat Doyle on that occasion, and she won that race. And in 4th place was Rose Davies when she ran 15.08. So both inside their best, are both inside that World Championship qualifier time. They've had a lot of racing together. They've become very familiar with one another. So how they're unfolding in this race, probably no surprise. But Thackeray and Hull, it's a group of 4 at the front. Rule hasn't really made too much ground. It's going to be tough from 5th place for her, but gutsing it out nonetheless. Thackeray just looking to maybe move out. But Hull, I think, is running a very smart race. Davies too, letting Bat Doyle and Thackeray do a lot of the work for them.
Yeah, how do you shake the national record holder of the 15, the 3, and the 5 when she's just off the back and you're dragging her around? You can't take the speed out of her unless... Well, you can't take the speed out of her. She's a 1,500-metre champion and she's the 5,000-metre national record holder. She's got each end of the spectrum in this race. You can see they're just opening it up a touch. They're going around the back straight and they'll have just over a kilometre to go. 15.10, that's your mark to get to the World Championships in Oregon. That's the Commonwealth Games qualifier. If you can hit that here, you're automatically selected. Now Thackeray getting out on the outside of Bat Doyle, still holding that position just on the outside of lane 1. Then it's Rose Davies and Jess Hull.
So 12.10 was the split at 4 kilometres, so they need to drop through a 3-minute K and close in that. Not outside of the question, particularly for someone like Hull, but they're going to have to get a wriggle on. They don't want to leave too much too late. Bat Doyle on the front, Thackeray's there, Davies is tucked in. But for each of these ladies, they know they can get the time. So the national championship win now starts to factor into the equation. Who wants to make it as easy as possible through the rest of this season? They can get the win, they get the time, they're on the plane.
Yeah, can they get 3-minute, sub 3-minute K in their last 2.5 laps? They're going to have to keep this pace going around. Again, no major moves. Bat Doyle right on the rail with Davies and Hull on her backside. And then it's Thackeray just right on her shoulder, ever present. She's making a slight move around the outside. Davies maybe dropping off the back of that. And what does Hull have in those legs as she's come back? We say that and make a little push down the back straight now. Davies goes out a little bit wide. They're going to have 600 metres left to go here. Who's going to take out the national title? Will they get under 15.10? It's Bat Doyle, Thackeray, Davies and Hull. Hull now making a move around the outside. So now Hull sitting in second Australian, 3rd place overall. Thackeray still sitting on the outside of that position. They're starting to pick up a few runners now at the back of the field. So it's going to be a messy last few laps.
So they'll come down to the bell. Thackeray's moving wide. Hull now starting to move, asserting her presence. The national record holder is going to go. The national champion from 2020 lifts the intensity, collects the bell, and here we go. Hull is on the move. So Bat Doyle and Thackeray, Davies has work to do. Hull sets sail for home, and at 300 metres to go, Jess Hull on her home track in New South Wales is clear of the field. Bat Doyle and Thackeray, Davies is there, but Hull is unleashing down the back straight, a mighty turn of pace. The Olympic finalist over 1,500 metres, Davies now starting to move, has gone past Bat Doyle, who's starting to feel the pinch of the efforts at the front of the field. Thackeray hanging tough. Davies now setting out after Hull and at 200 metres to go. Jess Hull holds the lead. The one-time champion in 2020 looking to launch, rounds the bend, has lap runners to go, and she's shifting up another gear. Hull comes into the straight. Davies has dropped Thackeray and Bat Doyle, but Jess Hull into the home straight now. 100 metres left to go. We watch the clock. It's at 14:56. The national title. The grandstand rises. Sydney Olympic Park are on their feet. The clock is going to tick. She's going to win the Nationals, and she's going to get the time.
I think we got the first three. Rule closing hard to get up into the bronze medal over Bat Doyle. I reckon we got the first three under 15:10.
They closed in sub 3 minutes. We thought at 12:10 at the 4K mark, they were up against it. But Jess Hull, that last 500 metres, she showed something we haven't seen for a long, long time.
That was fantastic. And you could see Davies, she had to go with her. She was powering towards the finish line. And I reckon we've got the first three across the line under 15:10. It's got to be close. What a performance there from Jess Hull. I think she's dropped a 66-second last lap there. They crossed the line in about 14 minutes dead. The big scoreboard hasn't shown us much yet. What a performance. This is going to be very exciting. Eloise Welling straight to the finish line. Bat Doyle looks absolutely spent. She threw her body on the line to try and drag those athletes around for that qualifier. We've got no athletes qualified in the 5,000 metres just yet. We're just waiting for those official times. It was about 15:06.
So we've just seen those results on the scoreboard now, Lynchy. 15:06.13 for Jess Hull. 07 for Rose Davies. Kelly Thackeray, Great Britain, 09. Natalie Rule, 15:10.24 seconds.
Oh, no!